Hi, my name is Mia, and I just wanted to give you a quick personal testimony about our experience with the LifeWave patches. So our friends Dave and Shannon called us a couple months ago and told us that they had been introduced to these and they really thought it could make a difference for our family. And so to give you a little background, we have 5 children, but our middle son Jude is 9 years old, and at 2 he was diagnosed with severe developmental delays, including cognitive delays, speech, and then some physical delays, some gross motor delays. Those started around 8 months for him, but he wasn't officially diagnosed until he was probably 3.5 with autism as well. And then about 1.5 years ago, they added ADHD to that diagnosis, just trying to figure some things out and help him with school and focus and some stuff. So Jude's major presentations for autism are sensory issues. He hasn't struggled much with attachment in people, and so I think that's one reason it was so hard to nail down that diagnosis for him, is because he didn't mind showing affection and he made good eye contact, and there were some things like that that just kind of veered doctors away from autism for a while. But we did some more significant testing and they added that diagnosis. But like I said, the major thing was sensory for him. And so Dave and Shannon just thought that maybe these would be something great for us to try, and it's something that certainly intrigued us, and it's one of those, if we can do anything to help our kid, we'll do it. So we started patching him 2 months-ish ago at this point, and they sent us a sample week and we tried that, and we immediately began to see some differences in his sensory functioning, which was one of my major goals. He constantly mouths objects, so he's always putting things in his mouth that don't belong, chewing on things. He's ruined so many shirts and things, chewing on the sleeves or the necks. He puts random toys in his mouth, so it's something we're constantly working on, is mouthing things. And then he had a major sensory issue with noise, so he had gotten to where he would walk around almost all the time just holding his ears down or wearing headphones. So we were really dealing with him with having bad reactions to noises all the time. So one of my big things that I was really hoping to see from that was just some sensory relief, if that could help him with that. So we began patching him with, he wears the Eon patch and the X39 patch every day. He loves his patches. He asks us every morning to please put his stickers on. So we began to immediately see less sensory issues with him. So I guess the other thing that we really had a lot with him was tantrums. So we began to see a decrease in the numbers of tantrums and how often they were happening, but also in their severity, and he was more easier to calm down. So that was the big thing. We also noticed he became surprisingly more affectionate. So he was running up to us all the time and telling us he loved us and wanting to give hugs and snuggles, and where he had not been opposed to that in the past, it was way more him initiating it at this point. So that was super interesting. But one of the major couple things that I'll tell you is, because mouthing objects was one of the issues we had with him, it was also one of the goals that his therapist had for him. And so his ABA therapists document all of his sessions and they track things. And so they had been tracking, prior to us ever patching Jude, how often he was putting objects into his mouth that didn't belong. And so they could see this trend, and it was pretty significant, but also pretty stable. Like, it just didn't go up and down. Like, throughout a 1-hour session, he's putting objects in his mouth 20 times or whatever their documentation was. And after 2 weeks on the patches, the therapist came to me and said, it's really interesting, he's mouthing things less, and we've actually got it documented. He's putting objects in his mouth less often. And so that was pretty neat to hear from the therapist, that clearly this sensory need for his oral stimulation or whatever was going down. So that was super interesting. The other major thing that we noticed was, like I said, less tantrums, less outbursts. But he became really obsessed probably a year ago, with wanting to ride a roller coaster. And he was watching videos all the time of roller coasters, and he kept asking us to ride a roller coaster. So last October, we tried to take him to an amusement park during fall break. He rode one very small little kid's roller coaster, and he rode it, but he did not want to get back on. He was not happy about it. He was, clapped and said, "Yay, I did it." But then the rest of the day, he would not ride anything else other than the little tiny baby size cars. So this spring, he began asking again to go ride roller coasters for spring break. So we took him to a different park this time, and we had a completely different experience. He rode almost every kids ride there. He still didn't want to do ones that were super high, but he was very willing to ride lots of rides that we never expected him to get on, and he even asked to do them multiple times. We went 2 days in a row, and the second day he was just as happy to ride everything as he was the first day. And he did not walk around the park holding his ears down, and he didn't even ask for his headphones. So he did grab his ears a couple of times, but just a major difference in his behaviors at this amusement park over that 5-month period or 6 months, whatever had passed. And the only difference is the patches. We had not changed any therapies. Of course, he's 6 months older, but it's not that big of a difference, in my opinion, that we saw such an extremely different reaction to how he was able to handle the sensory input of being at the amusement park and the rides themselves, the wind in his face. And it was really interesting to watch as he would approach the line. He would look at the roller coaster and he would ask me if it went high, and I'd have to say, no, this one doesn't go high, but it's going to go fast. And he would walk into the line and then say, no, I'm scared, and he would back out, and then he would talk to himself and say, no, I brave, and he would walk back into that line, and he would sit in every ride with me. And it was just so encouraging, and it was just a very awesome moment for our family to see that life may be stabilizing or normalizing a little bit for him, and we really owe it all to the Patches at this point. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to chat. Thanks. Bye.